This video is about the young Kobe Bryant.
When Kobe was 6, the family moved to Italy, where Joe continued his basketball career.
Growing up in Italy, I was forced to play soccer, football, but basketball really moved me. No other sport touched me like the game of basketball.
When he was 13, Kobe moved back to Philly, where he started dominating his peers at Lower Merion High School. He would go on to break Wilt Chamberlain's state scoring record. After graduating high school, Kobe shook up the sports world, bypassing college and heading straight for the NBA.
Kobe Bryant decided to take my talent to I have decided to skip college and take my talent to the NBA.
He was drafted as a 17-year-old. Even as a teenager, Kobe handled his business on the court, quickly establishing himself as a 19-year-old all-star. He told NBC's Jim Gray he was ready for the moment.
This is my first all-star game, playing here in New York City with all these great basketball players. It's an incredible feeling. I'm glad it's finally arrived.
Off the court, young Kobe decided to settle down at the age of 21, marrying Vanessa Lane in 2003. The couple would go on to have 4 daughters. Kobe talked about his joy of raising a household full of girls with comedian Monique.
This is when you say the universe has jokes. Because the universe said, we ain't gonna give them no boys. Give them girls. Let them be girls.
You know what, though? My kids, they're ultra competitive. And we didn't teach them that. And, I just kind of sit back and I'm just watching them. Dang, they're like miniature beings running around.
The girl dad went on to become one of the greatest champions in NBA history. And when Kobe's playing career ended, he focused a lot of his attention as a doting father on his daughters, including Gianna, who, like him, was in love with basketball.
To be honest with you, I don't miss playing in the NBA with a career. It was 20 great years. I was very fortunate to play that long. But now, I watch it through my daughter. My daughter plays every day, so I enjoy watching her develop.
Gianna's skill was evident in many Instagram videos posted by the Bryants. In a recent interview, he talked about the challenge of coaching his daughter.
Making sure she knows that I love her, whether she plays well or plays like crap. You're my daughter before you're a basketball player.
Along with coaching his daughter, Kobe founded the Mamba Academy for boys and girls basketball and became an outspoken supporter of women's basketball and the WNBA.
This is our creative area.
Away from the basketball court, Kobe had other passions to pursue. He embraced his love for writing and storytelling, creating his own production company, Granity Studios.
I didn't dream of doing this as a kid. For about 15, 16 years, I had a lot of practice on road trips and on planes, writing.
His creative drive and passion paid off big in 2018, when he wrote, narrated, and executive produced the animated film Dear Basketball.
Dear Basketball, Glenn Keane and Kobe!
It took home an Oscar, and he delivered a speech that acknowledged his true inspiration, women in his life.
Thank you, Academy, for this amazing honor. And to my wife, Vanessa, our daughters, Natalia, Gianna, and Bianca, ti amo con tutto il mio cuore. You are my inspiration. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
In 2015, during an appearance at the BET Experience, our own Jamel Hill talked to Kobe about his legacy.
When you do finally retire, what do you want people to say about you, to think about you? How do you want them to remember you?
I think it's, that I reached my highest level of potential. Like, as much as I could have accomplished, I accomplished. Like, I left no stone unturned. I tried and learned as much as I possibly could to be the best possible player that I could be, to help my team be the best team that it could possibly be.
During a ceremony to retire his 2 Lakers jerseys, Kobe shared the mentality that allowed him to realize his dreams and inspire millions of people around the world.
You guys know that if you do the work, you work hard enough, dreams come true. You know that, we all know that. But hopefully what you get from tonight is the understanding that those times when you get up early and you work hard, those times when you stay up late and you work hard, those times when you don't feel like working, you're too tired, you don't want to push yourself, but you do it anyway. That is actually the dream. That's the dream. It's not the destination, it's the journey. And if you guys can understand that, then what you'll see happen is that you won't accomplish your dreams. Your dreams won't come true. Something greater will. And if you guys can understand that, then I'm doing my job as a father. Thank you guys so much. I love you. Mamba out.
Wow, powerful words by Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, very powerful. And, I purposely did not go back and watch that Genius Talk that he and I did because I know, it would have probably gotten me even more emotional than I already was upon hearing about his passing. But I'm reminded, especially hearing him talk about the process. I joked with him during that Genius Talk, which I know we'll air some of that footage in a moment, that he was going to be horrible at retirement, right? I was like, I cannot imagine what is retired Kobe like. I thought he might pull a Jordan and come back different jersey number because that's how much he loved the game. It was hard for me to imagine him finding anything that would remotely come close to satisfying that thirst hunger that he had for basketball. But true to Kobe Bryant's nature, of course, he loves to prove everybody wrong, including even when he said, as we saw in the video, when he said that he didn't really miss basketball, because one of the things he also talked about during that Genius Talk about how he had this passion for storytelling, and I guess I'd never imagined Kobe Bryant as a creative. And before I left ESPN, I got to sit down with him again, and he took me around his creative offices, and he really embraced not just being a storyteller and a creative, but he had an imagination that was so vast. And one of the things I enjoyed about being in his company is that he would ask you just as many questions about what you did. He didn't really want to talk about himself. He wanted to ask what your process was. And I've always said that the great players, they love the worst parts of the journey. And for him, the early morning practices, the early morning workouts, he loved that stuff.
It's weird how much we like everybody played basketball in high school, and we would work out after school sometimes. And we'd go to St. Joe's gym. We get there like 5 o'clock after high school basketball practice. But Kobe would already be there. I don't know how he got there first. He'd be there, and he would work out with us and do drills, and he'd play. And then when everybody was leaving 9, 10 o'clock, he'd be out there shooting again. I just do another 1,000 shots. One day I saw this dude doing left-hand free throws. And everybody was kind of clowning him because what you need a left-hand free throw for? Ain't nobody ever guarding you. You can just always use your right hand. But he was like, you never know. And then
You never know. It could be some situation
then he
where
breaks
you might need to.
Then he breaks his hand in an NBA game. And before he checked out of that game, he said, I'm gonna shoot the free throws left-handed. And I don't know if they win it or not, but the idea that you can argue it wasn't necessary. It's not worth the amount of hours you put in. But for him, every contingency mattered. Everything that could happen, he wanted to be prepared for. He had a almost otherworldly, like Jordan and other greats, otherworldly obsession with being the best and mastering every nuance of the sport. And that's what made him so successful at everything.
Yeah, it was funny because Allen Iverson told this story recently about how I think it was maybe his first or second year in the league, early on in his career, and how Kobe Bryant had picked him up. And Allen was like, well, what are you going to do tonight? And I think Iverson said, well, I'm going to the club. And Kobe said, I'm going to the gym. And he was just, he told that story and joked like that's kind of what was the difference between the two of them, if you will. And but you're right. I mean, he had a passion and a devotion to the game that only a player that reaches his level could possibly have. And again, for him to take how he approached the game, apply it to his other life. Like, there are other athletes, we've seen this 1,000 times, that enter into other professions once they're done with whatever sport they play, and they go in thinking they're the expert.
Right.
He went in wanting to learn. And I think because he had that approach of wanting to understand what the creative process was like, it should surprise no one that he won an Academy Award as immediately as he did.
No, absolutely. And as you can see here, we're looking inside the Staples Center. It is filling up. It is filled up. In fact, people all over the world have come to pay their respects and to help remember Kobe Bean Bryant and his daughter Gianna. We will be bringing you the start of the service as soon as it begins. We were just talking about the Genius Talk that Jamel had with Kobe Bryant. We want to play just a brief excerpt from that Genius Talk. It was in 2005 during the BET Experience. Let's take a look.
for joining us and for doing this. As you know, the theme of it is, again, to learn different things, and you've been through such an interesting journey, still continuing. So I figured I would start it at the very beginning. As good as you are as a basketball player, as much as you have accomplished, people forget that when you came into the league, people kind of thought you sucked. How much did not having that instant success, how did you deal with that?
When I was going through it, I was so focused on trying to become one of the greatest that I literally did not hear anything that anybody else was saying. It was like, the gates open and, secretary that's all out the gates and he has the blinders on. I have no idea what's over here and what's over there. I have no clue.
So at what point did you begin to sense you were coming into your own as an NBA player?
I think around 2000, right, when the year Phil came, and then the game just completely, he showed me a completely new side of the game, like it was like a different dimension of how to process the game. And once I started getting that level of teaching and understanding of concepts, then I felt like I had an advantage, a greater advantage than my competitors, AI and Ray Allen and all these other guys, because I knew they weren't getting coached at that level.
I always think that there's two types of players who love to win and players who hate to lose. Which one are you?
I'm neither.
Meaning?
Meaning that, I played to figure things out. I played to learn something. Because if you play with the fear of failing, you'll have the pressure on yourself to play, to capitulate to that fear. If you play with the sense of I want to win, then you have the fear of what happens if you don't. But if you find common ground in the middle, in the center, then it doesn't matter. You're unfazed by either, right? And that enables you to really just stay in the moment, stay connected to it, and not feel anything other than what's in front of you. So I try to just be dead center.
What is Kobe Bryant afraid of?
Bees. I'm not playing. No, I'm not playing. I'm really not playing. I had like this really fatherly moment when I was with our daughters at soccer, and she's sitting there putting her shoes on, and a bee lands right next to her. And she's allergic to bees like I am, and the bee lands right next to her, and I was like, no, I gotta, damn it, get out of here. I was like, yes, I passed the fight. She was like, what's wrong? I said, it was a bee right there. She was like, you saved me. I was like, yes, I did. I did that.
And you know what? She'll always remember that. Dad saved me from the bees.
Right.
So a lot of